What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews, and in today's video, I invite you to come along with me to search through Props Madness to find some killer plays on this upcoming set of the NBA. Being transparent with you, I just finished work. It's almost 10 p.m. at night, jumping straight into the lab, and before I started researching, I thought, let's just record the process for you guys. So I'll take you guys on a dive, we'll find some killer plays today, but before we do that, let's recap the last day. I got absolutely demolished. And you know what? I deserved it. I got cute yesterday and I got absolutely punished. So I'm going to do my absolute best here, not to cuss, not to swear, but I'm a little bit frustrated right now. And that frustration is with myself. I've got nobody else to blame. But let's talk about the bets that I had down, what we're going to learn from it, and we'll talk about it. And we'll talk about a couple of winners as well. So the first play that I shared with you guys, one of them, Tyrese Maxey over 26.5 points. Wrong. Bad bet, bad read. I expected Maxey to be a bad boy, but he was just bad. I expected McCain to struggle and everybody else, and they didn't. Great team performance. 76ers had a lot of scorers in that game. Maxey didn't necessarily need to. Took the volume that I expected to, but he was just awful in that game. But can't blame Maxey here. I made the pick at the end of the day. So I apologize if you tailed that. We had Giannis over 6.5 assists. He had 4 assists in the first quarter. Man, I was licking my chops. I was like, this is going to be an easy win. Finishes with 5. The Milwaukee Bucks, cold as ice in that second half. AJ Green over 6.5 points. This guy was the MVP today. He hooks us, finishes on 6, 2 from 11 from deep. He takes the most 3-point attempts on the team. That wasn't a bad bet. He just played real bad. So that was frustrating to say the least. Pascal Siakam over 3.5 assists. This was either going to make me a genius or the village idiot. And today, I am the idiot. It was rubbish. I tried way too hard to make that bet work. I watched so much film, went through so much data to find correlation for Pascal Siakam. I tried way too hard for that, and it shouldn't be that difficult to find a bet. That one deserved to lose. So that's on me. That's a real bad bet. Then we had Jalen Duren over 7.5 points. He finishes on 5. He was 1 from 5 from the field, 3 from 6 from the free throw line. And I absolutely hate the result. But honestly, if I knew he was going to take 5 shots and take 6 free throws, I'd honestly bet the over 7.5 points every single time. So not too filthy about that. Zubac over 10.5 rebounds. We got hooked. He was rebounding extremely well in the limited time he was there. Blowout special. So I didn't hate that bet on Zoo. One bet that I did hate is this one, though. Julius Randle over 17.5 points with James Harden for 4+ rebounds in the same game parlay. We get hooked on James Harden's rebounds. And this was an awful bet by me. If I believed in self-harming, I would probably do it because of this bet. But don't worry, I'm not going to do that. But this bet absolutely sucked, honestly. I liked Julius Randle's points line, but I got cute with it. Like I said, I took his points line down a couple, added James Harden for 4 rebounds because the hit rate was amazing, and he finishes on 3 in a blowout. So absolutely foolish rookie mistake there. I can't believe I did that. I actually did a couple of those on this set of games. Even starting with the next one, Franz Wagner, ran a BAP on him. Pretty much the same thing. I liked his points prop, but I bitched out and I ran a hit rate BAP based on his rebounds, assists, and points. And I got cute again and I paid for it. So not only was me getting cute with these bets resulting in losers, even the bets that we won, if I hadn't gotten cute with it, we would have been rolling in dough. So learn from my mistakes, boys. And one thing I want to talk about real quick is these BAPs. I know you guys absolutely love them whenever I bring them up. The comment section gets full. You guys are all about that. But being completely honest with you, if you're running BAPs and that's your main thing, it's going to be difficult for you. Well, it's difficult for me, and I'm the BAP guy, right? If I ran a BAP every single game, I'd be losing more money than I currently am. So learn from my lessons, get your straight bets down. I'm telling you, here's some more examples of it, right? Dame, we cash his over 3.5 rebounds as a system play. Hawks versus Bucks BAP, plus 125 and it cashed. Dame 20, Johnson 15, Hunter 10, Prince 1 3-pointer made. Did cash, right? But here's the problem. I liked Dame's over his points prop. I like Johnson over his points prop, DeAndre Hunter over his points prop, and Tayshaun Prince over his 3-pointers made prop. I bitched it and ran a BAP instead, and I won a bet at 1 plus 125. But if I wasn't being such a bitch and I just played all 4 of those guys, they all covered their lines in this game. I easily would have made 3 to 4 units profit there alone. But I did bitch it. Some other winners, Jaylen Brown hit his over 5.5 points in the first quarter. Peyton Pritchard over 3.5 assists. And then the only high value player that we hit was Jaylen Brown, 10 points in the first quarter. And that's because there was a problem with my post and I actually did get value plays out. So didn't stake too much, but it was a losing day nonetheless. Calling it out here, redemption is coming. And that's why I'm wearing my Michael Jordan jersey today. I've only worn it twice, and both times I happen to record a video. But trying to channel the GOAT here to get redemption. I'm taking this one personally. It's me against me, if I'm being honest with you guys, because my bet sucked and my bets need to be better, and redemption is coming today. Let's go. So before we get into the deep dive with Daft, I wanted to remind you guys of the giveaway that I'm doing for anyone who signs up for Rebet. Basically, Rebet is available in 46 out of the 50 states. If you do happen to sign up with Rebet, make a $10 deposit. Not only will you get a month of my VIP picks for free, but I'll also enter you into a draw where once we hit 100 people on Rebet, I'm going to do a draw. 5 people are going to win $100 each. All you've got to do is sign up, make your deposit, send me an email with a screenshot, and I'll get you straight into that draw. I think we've already got 14 or 15 people in there. So if we keep it up in that rate by probably 7 to 8 days, I'd say, we'll probably hit 100. Then we'll get a giveaway happening where you could win $100. So go ahead and check it out. The links for that are in the video description below. Also, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and help your boy get to 17,000 subscribers. Now that's enough talking from me. Let's start analyzing some numbers and find some bangers. Let's go. So we're jumping into props madness. It's the best tool for NBA player props, regardless of how bad my bets are. It's got nothing to do with the tool. It's my decisions that are letting us down right now. The tool itself is amazing. Go ahead and check it out. 7-day free trial in the video description below, and you'll get 25% off if you use the code DAFT when you sign up. Let's get through these games. We've got the Nuggets versus the Cavs. That's a pretty good game. Now, being transparent with you guys, I haven't looked at anything yet. I don't even know who's playing today. So I'm seeing all this for the first time. I guess it gives you a feel for what I'm clicking through, what I'm looking at when I use Props Madness. For this game, the Nuggets versus the Cavs. Firstly, I like to look at the lineups. Aaron Gordon's back, and there's no major outs. So pretty much close to full strength, all of these teams. So I don't go through every single player. I do not do that at all. I kind of look at the key players, what the matchup's going to look like, and then we go from there. So let's start with Donovan Mitchell. Points prop at 26.5. I always like to look at the matchup first. And then when it comes to scoring the ball, the matchup's probably difficult here for Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell scoring a lot of his points in the pick and roll. Denver pretty good at defending that. But at the same time, if he chooses to score in transition or as a spot-up shooter, the matchup's pretty good there. So neither here nor there in terms of the points prop for Donovan Mitchell. Similar types of players have had some success against them. But one thing I do know about Denver, points in the paint, baby, that's where they suck. They give up a lot of assists. Points in the paint, their defensive rating's still not great, although it is getting better. But they also play fast, so there's a lot of room for getting some stats up. So for Donovan Mitchell, might be able to talk myself into his assist prop here. 4.5 is the line. Now, if we take a look, if I'm looking at his assists, filter by assists allowed. Let's look at the shit teams and who gives up assists. Now, when he's had ideal matchups, he's only hit this in 5 out of 13 games. So that's not too exciting. I don't think I can get to Donovan Mitchell's assist there. Maybe if we look at historical form against Denver, played them once, had 6 assists, only 13 points. So he played 31 minutes the last time he played Denver. He was only 3 from 12 from the field. The Cavs were at full strength, so the volume was down in that game. So that's a really interesting one. So his points prop, I'm not really interested in. The assist prop, I'm not too keen on either. So we're going to pass on Donovan Mitchell here. Darius Garland, when it comes to matchups, he's going to have the same type of matchup as Donovan Mitchell because their play types are very similar in terms of needing to score in the pick and roll, transition, and spot up. So very much the same. The assist prop, I could be interested there, but his hit rate on the assists has been pretty ass, haven't they? Line at 7.5. So yeah, the matchup's good to get some assists, but is Darius Garland going to be that guy? Looking at his potential assist volume, it's not very high. And this is the one thing you notice about Cleveland this year. New coach, new offense, Garland, Mitchell, Mobley, Karis LeVert, Ty Jerome off the bench. Like, they've got so many guys handling the ball. The assists kind of get distributed somewhat evenly. So not overly excited about that. But knowing that Denver are weak in the paint and they give up a lot of assists, this could be an Evan Mobley points plus assist game, potentially. Now, Evan Mobley scoring in transition and in the restricted area. He's got a pretty good matchup here. If we look at how he scores in transition from spot up shooting, bit on the free throw line as well, the matchup's not too bad for him. 86% of his points are within the paint. The Denver Nuggets, pretty bad at defending the paint right now. So the matchup here for Evan Mobley could be a good one, I would say. And if we filter the team, like let's go points in the paint. Let's remove the top 10 teams defending the paint. So this is the bottom 20 teams that he's played. 8 out of 16 games he's gone over. So hasn't necessarily taken advantage of those easy matchups in the paint. So not loving that, got to be honest with you. But the assists, could that be something that we muck around with? He's hit this in 12 out of his last 20 games. The line's at 2.5. That's pretty low. It is pretty juiced though, but 2.5 for Evan Mobley, probably something that we can muck around with. Let's have a look at how he's gone against the teams that do allow a lot of assists. Okay, 7 out of 13, still not great, averaging 2.5 assists. When he played the Denver Nuggets last time, what happened? Last season, one game with 5 assists and another game with only 1. So, yeah, not loving that. Let's check Jared Allen. Want to look at his points prop here because he's scoring in the pick and roll and he's scoring in the paint. The matchup's not too bad for him. Not the greatest one either. Man, this Cleveland team sucks to bet on right now. Head to head, he scored 15 and 19 points the last 2 games against the Denver Nuggets, though. So that fills us with a little bit of promise. What do we have? Let's see how centers have performed. Jesus, look at that. All right, so centers have scored a ton of points against the Denver Nuggets as of late. Now, I took Jared Allen against the Washington Wizards. He only took 6 shots in that game. He was 5 from 6. Am I brave enough to take him against the Denver Nuggets? Potentially. I honestly don't mind the matchup here. Centers have been feasting on the Denver Nuggets all season. I was already aware of that. If they're going to give up a lot of assists, there could be a lot of drop-offs to Jared Allen under the paint, under the basket. So I'll take a look at that. That's my first lean. We've got Jared Allen over 13.5 points. Let's see what else we could find. Oh, whilst we're on Jared Allen, see what his rebounds are looking like. Hasn't been rebounding well in the last 4 games. Line's at 10.5. He's hit this in 12 out of 20. Denver Nuggets, bottom 12 in terms of rebounds allowed. But Jared Allen at 10.5 doesn't overly interest me too much anyway. I just want to check Karis LeVert, his assist prop. Yeah, he hasn't been getting the assists up lately either, despite the good matchup that he has here. So, yeah, not loving Karis LeVert. Let's take a look at Denver. We're going to start with Nikola Jokic. Now, the Joker scoring in the post, in the restricted area, free throws. So I think Jokic points here could be the go. Now, my thought process here is this Cleveland Cavaliers team has some size for Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, right? So if Nikola Jokic gets the ball in the post, I don't think they're going to double team. They're going to force Nikola Jokic to play one-on-one with their bigs, and that's going to force a lot of shots from Nikola Jokic, in my humble opinion. Hasn't played the Cavs this year. Looking at last year, he only scored 18 and 26 points against them. The volume was quite low too. Only took 13 and 18 shots. There was no Jamal Murray in that game either. But what's the bet? He had 1,000 assists. Well, one game he had 16 assists. Potential assist volume is pretty good. But last year's Jokic, I feel, is quite different to this year's Jokic. He seems a little bit more aggressive this season. Well, look, he's averaging 30 points per game this year. What did he do last year? He wasn't averaging 30. So points line at 28.5, though. It's quite high. The spread's only 4, so the game should be close. So the Joker should get a ton of minutes. We do have Aaron Gordon back in the lineup, though. These are Nikola Jokic's games with Aaron Gordon, still averaging 30 per game. So points prop, I do lean to the over, but let's check his boards. His line's at 11.5. Cavs, 14th in the league in terms of rebounds allowed. Similar types of centers. Not a massive advantage there on the boards, but Nikola Jokic should get a ton of minutes in this one. So let's just say he gets at least 36 minutes in this game, which he normally plays anyway, so that's not massive for us. Averaging 13.6 rebounds when he gets at least 36 minutes a game. Rebounds allowed. So just looking at this blue line to see how he's gone in similar matchups. So in terms of rebound allowed, similar matchups are the Lakers and the Mavs, and he absolutely destroyed them, 18, 17, and 13 boards. Only had 10 rebounds against the Warriors. I think my concern here is that Aaron Gordon's been back, and he can steal a whole lot of rebounds from the Joker. Despite this, yeah, Nikola Jokic, 12.4 rebounds a game with Aaron Gordon in the lineup. So I don't feel like there's a massive edge there on his rebounds. He's always going to get close to it. He's a stat hunting machine. Assist line at 8.5. He's only hit this in 1 out of his last 5 games. So it has started to slow down, but more players are back. Murray and Gordon are back in the lineup. The Cavs don't allow too many assists here. So, yeah, I think if I was going to bet on Nikola Jokic, it would be the points prop. So, Jokic points is on my list. See what else we can find here. We've got Jamal Murray. He's got a somewhat difficult matchup. Cleveland, top 7 in the league in terms of points allowed to pick and roll ball handlers. He does a lot of his scoring above the break. Cleveland, average at that. So Cleveland, very good at defending the paint. Can be a little bit suspect to some shooters outside. So my first thought here is, could it be a Michael Porter Jr. game? Let's check Jamal Murray's assists. Now, his assists have been hitting consistently, 4 straight games on the assist side. In terms of assists allowed, 12th in the league at the moment, the Cleveland Cavaliers. So it's a somewhat difficult matchup. But Jamal Murray, if he's passing the ball to Jokic, doesn't need high potential assist numbers because Jokic efficient as hell. I don't hate the assist prop here for Jamal Murray, but I think there are better bets out there. Let's take a look at MPJ. Now, hit rate bettors, rejoice. This guy's hit this in 15 out of 19 games this season, averaging 18.7 per game. Lines at 15.5. Now, the line's at 15.5 for a good reason. Cleveland, pretty good defensive team, top 12 in the defensive ratings, but the matchup here is pretty good here. Out of all the players that we're going to see here for the Denver Nuggets, Michael Porter Jr. and Nikola Jokic probably have the best matchups here to score some points. So Michael Porter Jr. scoring as a spot-up shooter, 28% of his points come from the spot-up. He's scoring 18% in transition, but the Cavs are pretty good at limiting points in transition. Let's check to see how he's gone against teams that aren't very good at defending the spot up. He's over in 9 and 12, averaging 18 points per game. So nothing crazy going on there. Let's check out Michael Porter Jr. against the Cavs last season, 21 and 19 points. So we've got historical form. We've got recent form this season. We know the play types and the matchups are pretty good. Above the break threes. Let's check that out. So this Cleveland Cavs team, 15th in the league in defending above the break. Let's eliminate the top 5 teams and the bottom 5 teams. And yeah, he's gone over pretty well here. So I think the last filter I'd want to play with is with Aaron Gordon. And with Aaron Gordon in the lineup, he's gone over this. Yeah, he's still playing well. 6 consecutive games, Michael Porter Jr. So look, this seems like the most convincing play, but I also have to admit here that it was very easy to find. And if it's that easy to find, it might be a popular bet. But MPJ, his points prop is a really interesting look. Let's have a look at his rebounds. We know he can do a bit of both. And he's hit this in 14 out of 19 games. Lines at 5.5 against the Cavs last season. 6 rebounds in both games. So he did hit in both of those. I still think the points are a good look. But if you wanted to look at points and rebounds, I wouldn't hate that. If you're looking at rebounds, this Cavs team, yeah, they're giving up rebounds to some wings, that's for sure. So the rebound's probably not a bad look either. So I'll do some further research on that. But Michael Porter points and rebounds, I think they're interesting things to look at. Christian Braun, this always comes up in the comment section. Why don't you talk about Braun? His hit rate's amazing. Like, it is. Don't get me wrong. But Christian Braun has a difficult matchup in this game, and Aaron Gordon's back in the lineup. If we look at his games with Aaron Gordon this season, he's only hit this in 5 out of 9. He is averaging 14 points per game, but then you factor in that he has a difficult matchup here. And if we look at the games where he's had a difficult matchup, probably going to find that the hit rate gets worse. Yeah. So in games with Aaron Gordon, with a similar type of matchup that he's facing today, he's only hit this line in 1 out of 4 games. So for those of you who are asking, that's why I didn't take a deep dive into Christian Braun today. All right. So from that game, there's probably 3 leans that I'm going to look into a little bit further. Jared Allen, Nikola Jokic, and MPJ. We then had the Dallas Mavericks versus the Washington Wizards. Malcolm Brogdon's a game time decision here. Kyle Kuzma's still out. A lot of people out for Washington, actually. So there could be a blowout here. The spread's 14 points to the Dallas Mavericks. Let's take a look at it. Brogdon, points lines at 16.5. He does have an injured knee. Just knee soreness, really. So there wasn't necessarily an injury here, but his matchup against Dallas is somewhat difficult, and I don't like betting on injured players anyway, so we can skip him. There's no other lines available for Washington outside of Alex Sarr, who I'm not overly excited to bet on anyway. But let's talk about the big guns. We got Luka Doncic over 30.5 points. The line's a little bit low, but I think that factors in the blowout. Defensive matchup, it's a great one. Washington not great at defense. Luka scoring a lot of his points in the pick and roll. Washington allow the 13th fewest points in the pick and roll, if that means anything. What that tells me is that Luka assists could be a play here. But Luka's one of those players, it's like, doesn't matter how bad the matchup is, he'll still score 30, right? Like, at a difficult matchup against, who do you have? Golden State. That's an awful matchup for the pick and roll defense. Still scores 31. Same as Utah, scores 37. So, Luka, the matchup here against Washington is a good one. 30.5 seems a little bit low. It just comes down to whether you think Washington can cover the spread or not. So if you think Washington can keep it close, Luka's going to eat this line apart. I don't place sides and totals, but we do have his assist prop at 7.5. Washington give up a ton of assists. Luka has been pretty inconsistent diamond up this season. He's only averaging 7.8 assists. So I'm not overly excited to bet on Luka if there could be a blowout here. So I think one angle I could look at here is probably an under in his PRA at 45.5. But even then, that will be sweaty as hell. We got Kyrie Irving, 25.5 points. His matchup, similar to Luka's, is fantastic. No defense going to be played here. But the one thing I can get with here with Luka Doncic, with Kyrie, look at his games with Luka. He's only hit the over in 5 out of 14 games. And the spread here is 14. And if they're going to blow teams out, we're not going to need to see fourth quarter Kyrie. So what you'll find is Kyrie's big scoring games, they're usually close. Yeah. All of these games where he's gone over his points prop with Luka Doncic in the lineup, all very close games. And I can guarantee in most of these, he went off in the third and fourth quarter. Against this Washington team, who's probably going to be missing Malcolm Brogdon on top of everybody else that they're missing, we probably don't need to see Kyrie go crazy today. So Kyrie's my favorite player, but Kyrie under his points, I think that could be a good look here. 25.5. Yeah, I think that's too high given the whole scenario here. His matchup to score is nice, don't get me wrong, but Kyrie's the most unselfish, great scorer that you're going to find. He's not overly concerned with how much he scores. He just likes playing ball, Let's take a look at his assists, 5.5, nothing major. He could get the assist, and if they're Dallas run the points up, and boards, not overly interested in playing that either. We do have PJ Washington. Rebounds and assists are an interesting look. So he's been cashing these out like crazy. A lot of people bet his unders in that last game against Memphis because Luka was back and he was like, nah, we still doing this. Finishes with 15, busts it wide open. Another good matchup here against Washington, who give up a whole lot of everything. But yeah, it's not clear what PJ is going to do now that Luka's come back. Before Luka's injury was pretty quiet. Now that he's back, had one great game. I've got to sit and wait on that. Klay Thompson, his points prop's only 10.5 in this game, which seems extremely low. Washington, pretty good at defending spot-up shooters, believe it or not. 8th fewest points allowed to spot-up shooters. They allow a lot of points above the break, pretty much everywhere, but defending spot-ups, that's the one thing that they do well. So not overly keen on Klay Thompson. I think the one thing in my mind is, do I bet on Daniel Gafford or Derek Lively? Because these guys are going to have a pretty good matchup. This Washington team give up a lot of points in the paint. They'll give up a lot of lobs. Whoever Alex Sarr is defending, he's going to get a lot of dunks. So I'm thinking Derek Lively or Daniel Gafford should have a big game today. Gafford playing off the bench. His lines aren't necessarily available at the moment. But we can take a look at Derek Lively. He played Washington once last season, scored 17 points in 24 minutes, 7 from 8 from the field. So that's a whole lot of dunks and a lot of free throws. I think this could be a similar type of matchup today where he just dunks everything he possibly can. Now he's scoring in transition and in the restricted area. Excellent matchup for him. So let's just check to see how he's performed in games where he has had an excellent matchup, playing with these two filters. And when the matchup's been ideal, he's over in 3 out of 5. He does average 11.8 points per game in these matchups. So what I'm going to do here is D-Live. I do like the look, but I'm going to wait for Daniel Gafford so I could do similar type of analysis here. So from this game, Mavericks versus the Wizards, hate to say it, but I'm thinking Kyrie Irving under 25.5 points. That's a strong lean of mine. We now move to the Charlotte Hornets versus the New York Knicks. No major outs. Obviously, Charlotte missing LaMelo Ball, Bridges, Trey Mann. The spread here is 15 points to the Knicks. So there could be another blowout on the way here. Been a lot of blowouts the last couple of days, which has been disappointing. But let's take a look at it. Jalen Brunson, his matchup against Charlotte, not difficult, not hard either. Charlotte playing at a very slow pace, though. So that's going to impact everybody's ability to get buckets. His line's at 24.5. So, yeah, I think the blowout scares me away from taking that, but I'm not brave enough to bet the under. His assist prop still at 7.5 despite going under against the Magic. Charlotte, 15th in terms of assists allowed. I wonder how Jalen Brunson went against Charlotte last season. Oof, okay. He averaged 5.5 assists in 4 games, and he averaged 24 points in the 4 games. Yeah, so there's no major reads here on Jalen Brunson. I think Karl Anthony Towns rebounds without even looking at numbers. That's something that I'd be thinking about. Points lines at 24.5. He matchups, it's not too bad for him to score some points here. But again, if there's a blowout, does Karl Anthony Towns play that fourth quarter? That's what worries me. And here's the rebounds. Lines at 12.5. This Hornets team actually don't allow that many rebounds. And the reason why they don't allow too many rebounds is purely because they play so much slower. So that's really just a pace thing. It doesn't mean they're a good rebounding team. So Karl Anthony Towns should be able to get some boards. Similar types of players have rebounded well against them. So if there's a blowout, let's say Karl Anthony Towns plays less than 30 minutes. So when Karl Anthony Towns plays less than 30 minutes, he's only hit this rebound line in 2 out of 5 games. And this is what worries me, which is why I'm probably not going to take it. I do like the boards look, though. I think he's got a good matchup to get rebounds. My concern is, does he play the minutes? So that's my hesitation there on Karl Anthony Towns. OG, Bridges, Hart, none of these really interest me. Looking at Charlotte and their defense, they give up a lot of points right under the basket and in those corners. So thinking about who scores under the basket, you're probably leaning towards a Karl Anthony Towns, but who shoots from the corners? It's Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. So Mikal Bridges scoring 29% of his points in the corners. But this Hornets team, pretty good at limiting points from the spot up. So matchup's probably not ideal, despite him being able to shoot from the corners. And OG scoring as a spot up shooter, but and in the restricted area as well. Matchup not fantastic either. So yeah, this game stinks now that I think about it. What about Josh Hart assists and rebounds? He had a triple-double in that last game, which is pretty wild. But his assists haven't been as reliable. Potential assist volume has been down. He pretty much had the full playmaking duties in that whole fourth quarter of the last game and racked up a lot of assists. 13 rebounds in that last game against Orlando, 11 out of 20. But yeah, I'm not loving this matchup. This is the only problem for me. If LaMelo Ball was playing, I think this would be a great game to bet on, but he is not. So the blowout concerns me for all these players on the Knicks. I wonder if we can find something for the Charlotte Hornets. So we've got Brandon Miller here. The first thing I need to do is filter the games with LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges, and Trey Mann out of the lineup. So he's had 3 games with those 3 out. He scored 20 against the Knicks, 32 and 34. So that game against the Knicks, they lost by 1. He only scored 20 points in 37 minutes, 7 for 25. He was awful in that game. He got locked up, but I guess he got to deal with OG or something like that. Now, one thing about these 3 games, his 3-point attempts are through the roof. 11, 19, and 16 3-point attempts. So his matchup pretty good. The New York Knicks pretty poor at limiting points to the pick and roll ball handlers. And now that he's the primary scorer on this team, he's going to have that ball a lot in that pick and roll. So I don't mind the look here for Brandon Miller over 25.5 points. Yes, the blowout is a risk, but this Charlotte Hornet team better get used to getting blown out. So Brandon Miller, that could be a good look. I think he scored some points today. Checking his assists without those 3, nothing. And his rebounds, nothing major there either. 3-pointers made, props at 3.5. So I'm tossing up between his threes. Well, if he's smashing his threes like this, I think the volume of threes is just crazy. I like that. He only made 2 threes last time against the Knicks, though. 2 from 11, so the volume not too bad. Knicks do allow a lot of 3-pointers. I'm just thinking, do I back to 3-pointers made prop? No, I'm not going to because the odds for it are disgusting. Looks like we're looking at points here. Yeah, we're getting much better odds on the points. I think it's going to be a little bit sweaty. So Brandon Miller over 25.5 points. I might be able to entertain that. Brandon Miller points. That seems like a real interesting look. I'm going to keep these same filters on. Games without LaMelo Ball, Bridges, and Terrence Mann. Let's have a look at Josh Green. I know he's been pretty good. Oh, what are you doing against this bloody 76ers team? Just run around. 36 minutes, 0 points. Did well against the Knicks last time, scored 15, 3 from 7 from deep, 6 from 12 overall. So the volume was nice in the 2 games. And then against Philly, didn't make it happen. Now, matchup against the Knicks, not too bad. Bit of spot up shooting, above the break stuff. Okay. No, that makes sense. So Philadelphia very good at limiting points to spot up shooters. They're also don't allow too many 3-point attempts. Yeah. So whereas this Knicks team is going to allow teams to shoot the 3, whereas Philadelphia don't at all, which is why Josh Green here didn't do much in that. So Josh Green, his matchup's pretty good too. 9.5 points. I think that's a really interesting look. Let's check that recent form. Yeah, it's a bit all over the place, but threes, 1.53 pointers made from a man, Josh Green. I don't mind that. 3 3-pointers against the Knicks last time. Took 7 shots. I think he takes about 6 to 7 3-pointers in this game. And if he does, I don't mind the 1.53 pointers made. So Josh Green, 1.53 pointers made. Now, if you're still here, still watching the video, I'll let you know, sign up to my free winnable. I'll be sure to put all the free straight bets out there so you know what I've eventually landed on by the end of today. All the value plays and parlays, they'll stick to VIP, but let's see what else we can find. Salon. Now, this guy can shoot some threes too. 7.5 points. Let's check his games without Miles Bridges. That's the main one for him I wanted to see. All right, here's Salon without Ball and Bridges. 14 against the Knicks last time. 4 from 11 shots. 4 from 10 from deep. So all of his shots were 3-pointers. Against the Hawks, he was ass. 0 from 5. And then against the 76ers, made a couple of threes there. So his matchup's not too bad here against the Knicks, but do they let him make 4 3-pointers again? That I'm not sure about. His line's only at 7.5, though. His 3-point line is at 1.5. Plus money, too, if you take Salon to hit some threes. I think he takes them for sure, because that's all this man does. But does he make them? That is the question. And that I'm not willing to answer. I do like Josh Green. I know Josh Green's minutes are more guaranteed, whereas Salon can play anywhere between 35 and 20 minutes. So I'm probably right with Josh Green instead. But let's jump into the next game. We do have the OKC Thunder versus the Toronto Raptors. Grady Dick. Here's a game time decision. So Scotty Barnes, bettors beware. Outside of that, similar matchups here for OKC. Similar lineup, sorry. Sorry if you can hear a lot of MS Teams notifications going off. I just got messages from people at work saying all the work that I was doing up until 10 p.m. thinking it was due tomorrow, not due till Monday. Oh, I am pissed. But anyway, at least got the work done. Let's talk about this game. RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes. What are we thinking here against OKC? So OKC, pretty good defensively. I want someone who's going to target the drop coverage, and the Toronto Raptors don't really have someone who does that. So let's take a look at Scotty Barnes. He's a man of the moment right now. He's got a tough-ass matchup. Scoring in transition, scoring in the restricted area. This OKC team, very good defensively, as everybody is aware. Scotty Barnes, probably going to see some volume, though. 15 to 20 shots I'm expecting from Scotty Barnes. Up against OKC, the matchup is tough. 21.5 points against them. It might be a little bit difficult for him because he is a bit unselfish. If he finds himself in a difficult spot, he's going to pass that thing out. Whereas you want Scotty Barnes to be a bit of a hog if you're going to take this prop. So, yeah, I'm a little bit hesitant there. The assist prop, probably going to be a popular play because he's been hitting it like crazy. 6 straight games, over 6.5 assists. Up against OKC, 4th fewest assists allowed this season. Similar types of players, though. Brandon Ingram, Draymond Green. They've both covered their assist prop against OKC in this. His potential assist volume is pretty good. 15 to 16 potential assists in every single game, and you need 7 to cash. It's honestly not a bad look. Looking at his boards, line's at 8.5, so this has moved up quite fast. OKC, the worst rebounding team in the league, but you have to keep in mind, Hartenstein's only played 4 to 5 games. Similar types of players have rebounded well against them too. So for Scotty Barnes, I think the rebounds plus assists is probably the best look here up against OKC. The concern is Grady Dick can impact his assist numbers. Let me show you that real quick. Games with Grady Dick, he's averaging 6.2 assists. Well, it's not too bad, I guess, but it's not as stunning as it has been as of late. His potential assist volume, a lot of this was earlier in the season, though, so it could be time of the year. plus Emmanuel quickly being out changes everything. So if we look at the games with Grady Dick and without Emmanuel quickly, Scotty Barnes assist numbers averaging 6.4. So yeah, not a massive impact, I guess. I think a lean for me then will probably be the rebounds plus assists because I know Grady Dick's probably not grabbing a ton of boards. Scotty Barnes, rebounds and assists. Let me put that on my list. All right, who else could be an interesting look here? Jakob Poeltl, not overly keen on him. His matchup is difficult as hell to score some points on. Scoring in that pick and roll. Boards could potentially happen, but with Isaiah Hartenstein in there, makes it a little bit more difficult for him. Let's talk about OKC. Like to start with SGA and his matchup. The Raptors, bottom 10 in the league at defending the pick and roll ball handlers. Not very good at defending the paint either. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's got a pretty good matchup to score some points in this game. They do also allow the most free throws in the league, and SGA making 6.8 points per game from the free throw line this season. So SGA to get some buckets, I do like that. 29.5. I think this opened at 28.5, so it's already started to move. But let's take a look at his games without Chet Holmgren, and we can see he's over this in 7 out of 11 games. His worst performing game was 26 in a blowout loss against the Utah Jazz. Now, the spread in this game is 9 points. So the question is, I think he covers this line if OKC don't blow them out. But if OKC win by more than the 9 points, I think that puts it at risk, meaning he plays a little bit less time. So I do lean to the over here for SGA. The blowout does worry me, but I lean to the over for sure. Now, looking at his assist prop, 5.5. It's Raptors team, middle of the league in terms of assists allowed. But one thing I do know, they don't allow many assists to point guards. And that's because they let those fuckers score. So automatically, my thought process here is an under on his assists. But a play that I'm already thinking of right now, and this is not me being a bitch running a BAP, this is me correlating two plays that I do like, is taking an alternate over for his points, taking for like 25 plus points, and then taking an alternate under in his assists, maybe an under 7.5 assists. You would have to wait till closer to the game to get that bet down, but that's one thing that I'd be thinking there for SGA. Let's talk about Jalen Williams. What's his matchup look like? So I'm just looking at games without Chet. Now he scores in transition, scores in the pick and roll. So his matchup's not too bad either if he's going to drive the ball, get to the paint. The matchup's okay against the Toronto Raptors, 22.5 points. 7 out of 11, averaging 24 points per game without Chet. I think this line's honestly just about right. Because, look, I'd probably lean to the over here. And this is one thing I like to look at. So if you notice, all of the games where Jalen Williams has gone over this points prop, right? All the games where he's gone over 22.5, he scored at least 27 points. So for someone like Jalen Williams, you might be better off just playing him for 25, get better odds, because he's either going to crush this line or he's going to go under it by the looks of it. So that's one thing I'd be thinking about. Assist, 4.5 assists. I'd probably lean to the over here because the Raptors, they're not going to let SGA create. But someone like Jalen Williams, they might be tempted to. He's over this in 9 out of 11 games with Chet Holmgren out of the lineup. So Jalen Williams' assist could be a good look. Yeah, check it out. These are similar players playing a similar position to Jalen Williams, which is a wing. And 6 out of the last 8 have gone over their assist line against them. So Jalen Williams' assist has my attention. All right, looking at his rebounds, I'm not ultimately keen on the boards there. Check this out. These are the games with Isaiah Hartenstein. He's only gone over his rebound line in 2 out of the 6 games. His assist line, he's gone over it in 5 out of the 6 games. This is with Hartenstein in the lineup. So, yeah, strengthens an argument there. Let's talk about Isaiah Hartenstein. Now, his points props at 12.5, over in 4 out of his last 6. Had a great matchup against Utah. I didn't factor the blowout. He only shot 2 from 7, scoring 4 points. Up against the Raptors, the matchup's not bad, but it's not great either. Scoring all of his stuff in the paint. The Raptors, not very good at that. But a points prop for Hartenstein, I'm not too keen on. Rebounds and assists are usually the wave. There's a rebound lines at 10.5, though. The Raptors bottom 5 in terms of, or top 5 in terms of rebounds allowed, meaning they don't allow too many, which is very interesting. Look at these other centers, similar types of players and how they rebounded. Jared Allen went over his, Gobert went under, Zubac went under, Richards went over, Gobert went under again, Jared Allen went under. So I don't know. That means somebody else is getting the boards if it's not going to be the centers. And obviously lean to the over here, but knowing that similar types of players as Isaiah Hartenstein haven't been able to rebound well against the Raptors probably worries me a little bit. Looking at the assists, though, now this is something I can probably mess around with. 3.5 assists here for Isaiah Hartenstein. He's hit this in 4 out of 6 games. The Raptors, middle of the league in terms of assists allowed. But check this out. These are how some centers have gone. And yes, these are pass first centers, Sabonis and Jokic, but they have dimed up against the Toronto Raptors. So Isaiah Hartenstein, if you did not know, he gets a lot of these assists just doing handoffs. He just hands the ball off and sets a screen, hands the ball off, sets a screen, hands the ball off, sets a screen. And he's a pretty good screen setter. And that's going to get a lot of people open. So I think iHeart assists, that interests me as well. Just going to decide, is it going to be Isaiah Hartenstein or Jalen Williams, or do I just bet them both? But I do like the looks there. I understand how that happens. Out of curiosity, how did he go against them last season? Didn't get many, but this is when he was playing with New York. Didn't get to touch the ball a lot. So no handoffs required. But let's jump into the next game. We've got the Suns versus the Pelicans. How many more games do we have? I should have checked that. All right, 4 more games. 4 more games. Let's go. And in this Suns versus the Pelicans, we've got Suns 1.5-point favorites in this game. Kevin Durant's still out. Nurkic is still out for the Pels. Ingram's game time decision, which leaves them with Murray, McCollum, and probably Ingram. My goodness. So the Pels, good chance of winning this game, believe it or not. But let's talk about it. CJ McCollum, points prop, 20.5. He's got a good matchup. I know that the Phoenix Suns aren't very good at defending in the pick and roll. He's got a decent matchup, limited sample size of games here, but from the games he has played, these are the games where he's had a pretty easy matchup when it comes to pick and roll, and he's been decent. 4 out of 6, averaging 22.8 points per game. But how many games has he played with Brandon Ingram and DeJounte Murray? Only 1 game where he's had an easy matchup. He's actually only played 1 game with both of those guys full stop. So, yeah, we've got limited data, which makes me a bit hesitant to bet in this game with a lot of the guys who are in and out, especially Phoenix. They're always in and out. Pels pretty much the same. So CJ, I don't think I can get there. DeJounte Murray rebounds and assists. That catches my attention every single time. His matchup to score some points isn't too bad either. Doing a lot of work in the pick and roll. But DeJounte Murray has been shooting the ball woefully. Hasn't been able to find his shot. So I'm a little bit hesitant around that. Assist line at 7.5. Phoenix bottom 10 in the league in assists allowed. So we could see some 7.5 is quite a high line though. So that feels a little bit sharp to me. And even his rebound line, 6.5, that's pretty sharp too. So I don't see an edge in betting any of those. We've got Brandon Ingram who might be back. His points props at 19.5. He's got a tough matchup, scoring a lot of his points from spot up shooting. Does do some work in the pick and roll, but with CJ and DeJounte Murray in the lineup, I think we see Brandon Ingram settle into the more spot up role. And as a spot up shooter, it's going to be a little bit difficult for him against Phoenix. So look, I'd probably lean to the under. But again, we've got a limited sample size of him playing with both of these guys. 1 game. And in that game, it was against the Bulls, who were piss weak, and he scored 33 points. So I'd lean to the under based on the matchup, but the numbers are a bit all over the place with Brandon Ingram. Assist line at 4.5. I'd probably lean to the under here because he's playing with 2 pretty ball-dominant guards. I bet you he didn't get many assists in this game. Yeah, you're right. Well, you're right. I'm talking to myself. I'm right. That only game with CJ and DeJounte Murray, he had 2 assists, only 5 potential assists. So not saying that's going to happen again, but Brandon Ingram will completely fall into a scorer into this game, I believe. And I think the 4.5 assists is more of an overreaction to his form as of late. But it can be difficult to set the line for someone if he's playing with ball-dominant players who haven't necessarily been part of the lineup. I wonder how he's gone with just one of them. So these are his games with just CJ McCollum, where he's played with CJ McCollum. He's gone under in 3 out of the 4 games. And his games with DeJounte Murray, that was the only game with the Bulls, and he went under in that one too. So my thought process here is that the assist rate is going to drop off for him. I want to show you guys something real cool. This is Fantasy Labs. Now I use Fantasy Labs to kind of look at the on and off numbers, and let me show you how it works. New Orleans Pelicans. Let's open up the off-court numbers once it loads. So it doesn't just account for the the games that players are missing. It takes into account whenever these people are not on the court with him, whether he sees an increase or not. So if we look at games with or any time where CJ McCollum and DeJounte Murray are off the court, then we'll get to see what happens with Brandon Ingram specifically. So, all right. So for Brandon Ingram, when CJ McCollum and DeJounte Murray are not on the court, he doesn't see a massive increase in his usage rate. That's one thing. But I want to see his assist percentage. So Brandon Ingram, when they're off the court, sees a 3.23% increase in his assist percentage, which is not massive, which means when he's on the court with them all, he shouldn't see a deterioration in his assist numbers. That's quite interesting. Let me play around with this a little bit more. Not CJ, what am I doing? Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum. I want to see his potential assists in these games. So he had 5 potentials there, 11, 9, and 7. So if he needs 5 assists here, ideally you need to see 9 to 10 assists, potential assists at least. And he's gotten that twice. So maybe the assist line is probably right for Brandon Ingram at 4.5. And I'm glad that I looked at that because I've seen enough to scare me off it. Trey Murphy, quick look at his matchup. He's got a tough matchup as a spot-up shooter, so I don't want to play that one. And Missy. This guy's been pretty good, man. Look at these numbers. He's covered his points prop in 6 straight games, up against Phoenix. The matchup's not too bad. They don't defend the pick and roll man very well. No Nurkic in the lineup. Pretty soft around the paint, but he scores in the restricted area, and the Phoenix Suns somewhat decent at limiting that. But Missy should see some time. They don't have too many bigs on the court. What's his volume like? Gets a whole lot of tip-ins, a lot of dunks. He's pretty much a New Orleans Pelicans version of Jalen Duren, isn't he? So, yeah, I'm not sure if I can get with the points. His rebounds at 9.5. The Suns, not a great rebounding team. They lose some rebounding with KD and Nurkic out of the lineup too. So, I think Missy boards could be an interesting look. 9.5 though. I don't love that. So, what's he been playing as a late? He's playing... I think he should play at least 30 minutes here. So if we look at the games where Missy's played at least 30 minutes, what do we see? Oh, shit. He's over this line in every single game. Right. Okay. So it's 30 minutes too high of a floor. Let's go to 25. Games where it plays at least 25 is over in 7 out of 11 games. If we look at the rebounds allowed, this is when he has a good matchup. When he's got a good matchup, he's only over in 3 out of 6. So the 30 minutes is really the magic number there. So does Missy play 30 minutes in this game? Here's a game time decision after all. He's got a right ankle sprain, but he just had 23 points, 12 boards against the Atlanta Hawks. So game of the season. Looking at their depth chart though, I don't have too much at the center spot. Daniel Tice, Trey Jameson, Jeremiah Robinson Earl. So I do want to bet the over in rebounds. I'll put it down as a lean. Something for me to look into a little bit further. Now I've got Devin Booker. Let's talk about him for a sec. 29.5 points. My Lord. He's hit this in 6 out of 20 games. His matchup, I think he's great for assist. I'm going to call that out real early. This Pelicans team, they limit points in the pick and roll, which is where Devin Booker likes to score a lot of his points. Can score in transition, likes to get to the free throw line, and the Pels don't foul too much. So Booker at 29.5, I feel is a little bit high. Let's check the games where he's had a somewhat difficult matchup in that pick and roll. Yeah, he's only hit this in 4 out of 14, but then we have to factor in Kevin Durant's not playing. He's only played 2 games without KD. 31 points against the Jazz, though. My Lord. And they're meant to be good at defending the pick and roll. So now I'm a little bit scared off it. His assist props at 6.5. What's he done in the games without KD? He's only hit this twice without KD. Yeah, I don't like betting on this team. Got to tell you. Bloody Phoenix Suns. Bradley Beal, his points line 18.5. That seems a little bit high. What's he do without KD? He just gets buckets. 28, 24 points. Look at the volume. 18 and 15 shots without KD. Very efficient. When it comes to scoring, he's got a great matchup too. Whew. Bradley Beal. Let's talk about it. Bradley Beal scoring a lot of points in transition. This Pelicans team is going to let teams run on him all day. He does have some ball handling duties, and he's also scoring from spot up. So pretty good look here. 18.5 points for Bradley Beal. So provided he gets the volume, I do like it. And I think Kevin Durant's the biggest thing. So it really is these games without KD. What about last season without KD? What did he do? Yeah, okay. 4 games without KD last season. Covered this line in 3 out of 4 games, averaging 20.8. So Bradley Beal points. You can go on my list, my friend. I don't mind that. I have to stare into your profile photo a little bit longer and see if I want to take a bet on you. But yeah, that's really interesting. Don't mind that. All right, let's get to the Bulls and the Spurs. Oh, now this is a game. That's what I'm talking about here. So the Bulls give up a lot of points. I already know this. They give up points to people who can shoot pretty much. If you can shoot and run, you're going to score against the Bulls. So Devin Vassell's going over his points prop today. I can feel it already. He's got a pretty good matchup. Bulls don't play defense. They look at this. Similar types of players against the Bulls. 6 out of the last 7 have covered their points prop against them. The matchup is nice. What else is happening? Let me check the lineups real quick. No Wemby. All right, so no Wemby. Even better for Devin Vassell. Let's check the games without Wembanyama. Yet to play a game without Wemby this season. Last season without Wemby, he was over in 5 out of 8, averaging 17.5 points per game. All right, so no Wemby. Matchup is nice. Still playing off the bench though. But yeah, all the ways he likes to score, he's got a pretty decent matchup, Devin Vassell. So I don't mind that. I'll have that as a bit of a lean. But one thing I do like about this as well is minutes are slowly creeping up. 28 minutes against the Phoenix Suns in that last game. That's the most minutes he's played all season, which is very promising. So Devin Vassell points, I think that could be a good look. He doesn't do anything else, so we're just looking at points. Zach Collins. So I know Zach Collins eats without Wemby, right? So, or I hope I'm right. Zach Collins without Wemby. He's had 3 games. He's covered this in 2 out of 3, 16.7 points per game. His only under was against OKC. Tough matchup. Only scored 12 points. Last season without Wemby, my man's a fucking animal. 16 points per game, covering this in 8 out of 10 games. All right. So we know that's nice. What about the matchup? Oh my goodness. It is fantastic. The Chicago Bulls dead last defending the pick and roll man rollers. Dead last at limiting points in the restricted area where Zach Collins scores a ton of his points. This just makes a whole lot of sense to me. He's got one of the best matchups in basketball for his play type. Everything is green. One thing I want to check is his assists. Nothing. Rebounds without Wemby. Nothing to get excited about despite the good matchup. So I think Zach Collins points here. That's good. That's a must, right? I haven't checked yet, but I'm going to guess and say that Zach Collins to score some points is going to be one of the most popular bets on the day because that was way too easy to find. But I get it. It makes a whole lot of sense. You know, one thing I did yesterday, my crappy day, is I kind of avoided all the popular plays, or tried to anyway, because my ego got in the way. And I think a lot of those popular plays cash, so I'm not going to be such an egotistical bastard in this one. Keldon Johnson, I'm always interested to see how he plays without Victor Wembanyama. He's had 1 out of 3 games. He's got a good matchup too, but hasn't necessarily excelled without Victor in the lineup. Stephon Castle, 1 out of 3 games without Wemby. He's got a great matchup too, but Stephon Castle assists could be a look here. 4.5 assists is the line. The Bulls allow the second most assists in the league. Check out these point guards against them. They've been racking it up. So the spread, we're looking at 2.5 points. So there should be a lot of minutes here for Stephon Castle and co. Now, I just wonder whether he's going to dime up or not. That's my only concern. When he plays a team that allows a lot of assists, and when he plays at least 25 minutes since he joined the starting lineup, he's over this in 6 out of 10 games. So that's not really promising. What about CP3 and his assists? Let's see what he can do. He should be able to eat these guys alive, especially in that pick and roll. When he has a good matchup, CP3 is only over in 4 out of 12. Now, CP3 to get 10 assists in this game might be a popular play because the Bulls get eaten alive by ball handlers. But at the same time, Chris Paul, his minutes have been a bit inconsistent. Yeah, it's a tricky one. Normally, it's an automatic you take the point guard against the Bulls, but knowing that it could be a Chris Paul game or it could be a Stephon Castle game when it comes to these assists, that scares me. But believe it or not, his potential assist numbers are always there. This is the one thing you got to think about. The potential assist numbers are always there for Chris Paul. The question is whether his team's going to make the shots or not. And I wonder what his assists look like without Wemby. Okay, not too bad. 2 games with 10 plus assists, only 3 against Dallas from 11 potential assists. They lost by 17, so that was a blowout. These other 2 games kept it somewhat close. Potential assist numbers weren't even that high, but the quality of the assists were moist. Check that out. 14 potential assists, 11 actuals, and then 13 potential assists and 10 actual assists. So Chris Paul should be able to get some easy assists here in this game, I think, against the Bulls. But yeah, that makes sense to me. But I still like the Zach Collins play a lot better. Not gonna lie. All right, let's check some of these Bulls. Zach LaVine against the San Antonio Spurs. The matchup is not awful, I would say. Josh Giddey's a game time decision, though. That's real interesting. So Giddey could be out. Lonzo Ball is out. Kobe White is out. Man, this Bulls team's somewhat depleted. Who's going to be the playmaker here? And I think it's got to be Zach LaVine. So his assists, sometimes he pops off getting these assists, which is crazy. The Spurs, 7th fewest assists allowed, though. Zach LaVine. These assists, eh? Yeah, I don't know if I could take it. It's going to require too much analysis for me to do on this video. So Zach LaVine assists. I might look into it. I might not. I'm not going to look at it. Not going to lie to you. Vucevic, this guy's a wagon. Line's at 19.5, though. That's pretty high for him. He's averaging 20 points per game this season, a 50% hit rate so far on this number. The Spurs not good at defending the pick and roll. They're not good at defending above the break. He scores in the paint. The Spurs pretty good at defending the paint, but that's because they have Victor Wembanyama, who is not there. So I think Vucevic probably has a good matchup here. I don't mind him to score some points. Now, if you're going to do a bitch-ass parlay, this Bulls team's a pretty good team to do it on because you know where the production's going to come from. So at least he'll get 15 points for sure. Check out these assists, 2.5. That ain't too bad. Rebounds, 10 out of the last 20. So rebounding to cover his line, not the most consistent thing out there. But I think points and assists, you could get away with a BAP there for Vucevic. Not loving many of his main lines, though. Let me have a quick look at Josh Giddey on RotoWire to see what's wrong with him. So he's got a sprained right ankle. He just had a triple-double in his last game against the Brooklyn Nets too. So he's questionable whether he's going to play or not. And if he does play, what do we think is going to happen? Tough matchup to score some points. Tough matchup to get some assists on. And rebounds you don't want to bet on anyway. All right, so from this particular game, Devin Vassell, Zach Collins, probably the only ones worth looking at based on my research. Then we've got the Sacramento Kings versus the Grizzlies. What do we have? Zach Edey still out, Vince Williams, Gigi Jackson. So Memphis close to full strength, and so are the Sacramento Kings. So this is going to be a good game. The spread's 4.5 points. Memphis are favorites here. We've got to look at Ja Morantula. Let's talk about it. He's got a difficult matchup to score some points. My Lord. Ja Morant likes to run, and he likes to score under the basket. They're the two things that this Sacramento Kings team is actually pretty good at defending. They allow the fewest points in transition in the league, and they also allow the second fewest points in the restricted area, which is Ja's specialty. Now, when Ja has a similar type of matchup, which I would say difficult as hell, against top 10 teams at limiting points in transition, he still scored 31 against Dallas. So Ja Morant's had pretty easy matchups this season. Yeah, he's had easy matchups all year to score some points, which can sway you a little bit. So on the point side of thing, 21.5. I don't love it to death. The Kings, they do play at a somewhat slow pace, but Ja's been killing it lately. I wouldn't bet he's under, that's for sure. Looking at his assists, 8.5. He's gone under this in 3 straight games. The Kings, 14th in terms of assists allowed. Similar guards have covered in 8 out of 15 games against them when it comes to assists. 8.5 seems high as hell, though. Now, I wonder what his assists look like with Desmond Bane and with Jaren Jackson Jr. in the lineup. 3 from 6. So nothing amazing going on there. So Ja assists, I don't love. His points, I don't love. I'm not going to bet he's under, though, because I'm not crazy. Jaren Jackson Jr., scoring-wise, he's got a really good matchup here. The Kings allow a lot of points to spot-up shooters, though. The most points to spot-up shooters in the league, which is where Jaren Jackson Jr. gets a lot of... That's what he gets paid to do. He's knocking down points and blocking shots. Scores in the non-restricted area in the paint, which is a really good matchup for him as well. One hour he's gone in head-to-head matchups against the Sacramento Kings. 18, 22, and 25 points. Ja Morant was missing in the 2 games where he went over. The game with Ja Morant, he only scored 18 points in that game. So, yeah, Jaren Jackson Jr. for the full 18 and a half. I don't know. I feel like that line is just about right. Desmond Bain, he finally started scoring points again. How good? His matchup, difficult as hell. Transition and in the restricted area, similar to Ja. But he's a spot-up shooter as well, and this Kings team can give it up to spot-up shooters. 15 and a half seems like quite a low line if it's Desmond Bain at his best. He's getting close to his best, I'll tell you that. I don't know if he's technically there yet. But his rebounds has been somewhat of a wagon this season. It is down as a late. Only 1 out of his last 3. The rebound matchup against the Kings is a tough one too. So the Bain train, not loving what I'm seeing there. Santi Aldama, this is my guy. I bet on him last time. He delivered, and I think I might bet on him again. Now, Santi does score a lot of his points from the spot up. And like I said, with Jaren Jackson Jr., this Kings team is going to let the spot up shooters fly. Last year, against the Kings, he covered in 2 out of the 3 games. Covered in the 2 games without Ja Morant. He only played 14 minutes in the game with Ja Morant last season, though. So I think that's a bit of an outlier. This season, with Ja Morant, yeah, he's playing good. 5 consecutive games with Ja Morant in the lineup. He's gone over this points prop. He's seeing between 30 and 20 minutes. And I think with 30 and 20 minutes, he can get it done here against the Kings. I don't mind this. So if we look at the matchups, this is good. So these are all his games with Ja Morant. This blue line represents when he's had a good matchup. So if we look at the games where he's had a pretty decent matchup for spot ups, check this out. 6 out of the 8 games, 13 points per game. And this is the easiest matchup for spot up shooters that he's seen all season. So Santi Aldama points. Can we get there, boys? Santi Aldama over 10.5 points. Let's go. I wonder what his 3-pointers look like in these games. It's not necessarily from 3 because Ja does throw him a lot of lobs too. So I don't mind that. Assist line isn't too bad. Rebounds. Yeah, it's not too bad. He put it the whole PRA. Woo! PRA is at 20.5, averaging 24.3 PRA. I wonder where we have a bigger edge. 13 points in here. Okay, so we've got a 2.5 point edge on the points, but we get a 4 PRA edge if you run the PRA. No, I'm overthinking again. I don't want to get cute. Santi Aldama points. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I like. I'm interested to see Jalen Wells. He's a spot-up shooter as well. Shoots from above the break threes. And this Kings team, not very good at defending that at all. Jalen Wells, I don't mind this. These are his games with Ja Morant. He's seeing about 20 to 25 minutes in these games as a late. Shot attempts, he's taking about 9 attempts per game. It all comes down to percentages and maybe matchup. We'll do similar filters as the Santi Aldama one. When he has a decent matchup, he's only hit this in 4 out of 8. So Jalen Wells might explode today, but I think Santi Aldama looks like the more reliable player. Let's have a look at De'Aaron Fox. Points line's at 24.5, under in 3 straight games. Matchup, not good nor bad. I think one thing you got to factor in his games with Sabonis and DeRozan, and he's hit this in only 7 out of 17 games. So the hit rate for De'Aaron Fox at this number is not great. The matchup for him is not great, but it's not bad either. So I don't think there's a real edge or an angle here to talk about his points prop. Looking at his assists with DeMar and Sabonis, he's hit this in 8 out of 17 games. Again, not a great edge. The Grizzlies, 6 fewest assists allowed. Maxey and Lillard, similar types of point guards. They both went under their assist line against this Memphis team. So you could lean to the under on the assists. And rebound-wise, ain't nobody mucking around De'Aaron Fox rebounds. So looking at his PRA with DeRozan and Sabonis, he's hit this in only 8 out of 17 games, averaging 35 PRA. Yeah, I could probably lean to the under there, but nothing I'd like to bet. DeMar DeRozan, do the same thing with Fox and Sabonis. He's hit this in 10 out of 17 games this season. His matchup, somewhat difficult. Likes to score in the mid-range. The Grizzlies, 3rd fewest points in the mid-range allowed. But they do foul a little bit, so DeMar DeRozan can get to the free throw line. I ain't betting on him. And then we've got Sabonis. What's his game all about? Pick and roll, free throws. His matchup's not too bad. 18.5 is his line. These are his games with DeRozan and Fox. 10 out of 17, averaging 20. So I don't mind the points prop there. Last season in head-to-head matchups, 13, 20, 25. So 2 out of the 3 games. Checking out his assists with these two guys in the lineup. Where we at? With Fox, that was the last season. Here we go. 10 out of 17 games, he's covered this assist prop. Memphis don't allow too many assists, though. And rebounds, he's only hit this rebound line in 5 out of 17 games, 13.5. This Grizzlies team's not a bad rebounding team. Interesting. If we look at his PRA, yeah, I don't think there's a massive edge here. So we just checked the head-to-head games last season. Oh, he rebounded like crazy. Look at this. 21, 26, 18 rebounds against Memphis last season. Averaged 21 rebounds a game in the 3 games against the Grizzlies. My Lord. But does he do it again? Let's check it out. The Grizzlies, they haven't necessarily been allowing a ton of rebounds to centers this season, though. So I feel like the under could be a good look here. I feel like that line's inflated because of what he did last season. Now, am I going crazy here? 13.5 rebounds seems like a lot. Grizzlies, top 12 in terms of rebounds allowed. Let's get rid of the easiest matchups for rebounds. Yeah, he's under this line in 3 out of 15 games against the top 20 rebounding teams in the league. The Grizzlies do play with a lot of pace, though, so we've got to factor that in. Is pace driving up his rebound numbers? I wonder. All right. When he plays against the top 15 teams in the league in pace, he's over in 3 out of 8. So, yes, in a way, the pace does help him. But 13.5 rebounds is a lot. But he did get 20 rebounds against them last season. But the Grizzlies are a different team this season. Oh, tough decisions. Look, I lean to the under and Domantas Sabonis rebounds. I do lean to the over in his points too. I'll put them both down as my leans and I'll research them a bit. Sabonis over in points, under in rebounds. All right, who else do we like? Malik Monk. He's playing a new role in this team. What's Malik got? He's hit this line in 5 out of 13 games with Sabonis, Fox, and DeRozan. His assist line at 5.5. He's covered in his last 2 games. High potential assist numbers, which is pretty crazy. So he's got that playmaking role down pat. 5.5 though. Tough matchup against Grizzlies. Similar types of players have been hitting the number. Yeah, I don't want to make a decision just on 2 games of recent form though, so I'll pass on that. Keegan Murray, he's got a pretty decent matchup to score some points, but I don't like betting on his points prop. If I do bet on Murray, it's usually on his rebounds. 6.5 boards. I don't love that either. All right, we've got the Houston Rockets versus the Golden State Warriors, but Steph Curry's out, Draymond is out, Wiggins a game-time decision, Fred VanVleet a game-time decision, Tari Eason is out as well. 2 pretty good defensive teams. The good thing is we know how they're going to play defense. So starting with the Warriors, they're pretty good at limiting guards, especially high pick and roll usage. So someone like Fred VanVleet's going to have a difficult time if he plays. You can see it here in the matchup. There we go. Warriors, top 3 pick and roll defense, top 4 above the break. And Fred VanVleet scores 32% of his points in the pick and roll. And he scores 49% of his points above the break. Both of those being difficult matchups. The Warriors do allow points to spot up shooters, though, and I think Fred VanVleet's going to play on the ball a lot more than he'll be off it. So I think the points prop, taking his under, could be a look here. But let's just double check to see how he's gone in similar matchups. Similar matchups. Top 15 teams at limiting points into the pick and roll ball handlers and above the break. So he's gone over this in 2 out of 7 games. 1 against Clippers, 38 against OKC. I did call out this game, OKC, Isaiah Hartenstein playing a whole lot of drop coverage, and that kind of makes it easier. So the matchup against the Warriors is a tough one. Scored 11 points against them last time. 2 from 12, didn't shoot very well. Played 40 minutes. They shut his ass down. He played 40 minutes in that game too, which is crazy. I don't think he's getting close to that now. No, he does in some games, actually. A lot of minutes here for Fred. But I think the under in his points could be a good look. He had 5 assists last time against the Warriors, 13 potentials. This Warriors team, 17th in assists allowed, so I'm not overly excited about that. But yeah, I think Fred under an assist, that makes a lot of sense to me. And it made sense to me before I started looking at the numbers, so that's always good. So Fred under his assists. Şengün, he should be able to score points here against the Warriors. The matchup is nice for him. Scoring in the paint, pick and roll, man. But this 22.5 is high as hell. I think that's a little bit too high. I know Draymond's not there, but Şengün at 22.5 is averaging 18 per game. It's not like the Golden State Warriors are trash. So I'll probably pass on that. Assist 6.5. Is it this in 3 out of his last 4? That ain't too bad. Had some difficult matchups in terms of assists allowed as well. He had 4 assists last time against the Warriors. Only had 5 potentials, but this was the fat shaming game where the coach fat shamed him and didn't put him back on the court. So hard to really assess things from there. But maybe he's motivated because the Warriors cooked his ass last time. Potentially, who knows? I think rebounds could be an interesting look. The Warriors bottom 4 in terms of rebounds allowed. Şengün had 10 rebounds in 21 minutes the last time they played them. So, oh, actually, yes. Okay, check this out. I can explain what's going on here as of late. Minnesota Timberwolves don't allow too many rebounds, so he finished with 10. The 76ers and OKC, they allow a lot of rebounds, 14 and 14. Then he played against the Kings, and they don't allow many rebounds either. So he only finished on 8. Up against the Warriors, it's a team that does allow a lot of rebounds. In these soft matchups, where are we at? Let's go look at the bottom 10 teams in rebounds allowed. Geez, he hasn't blown them off the park, though. It's the minutes. So Şengün, I lean to his over in his boards, but I'm not betting that. Let's take a look at Jalen Green. He struggled against the Warriors last time. Check that out. 7 points. Matchup is difficult for him as well. Him and Fred VanVleet have a tough one. Matchups, yeah, geez. So good matchup against his Kings, scores 28. Tough matchup against OKC, scores 9. Average matchup against Philly, scores 41. And then he had this big shit patch in the middle. So Jalen Green, a little bit unpredictable at the moment, but I would lean to the under in his points for sure. Lean to the under in everything, if I'm being honest. Look at this PRA. Yeah. Lean to the under on Jalen Green. Let's find someone we can bet on. So we've got Podziemski. He does a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I wonder, games without Steph, without Dre. No, Dre hasn't missed much time this season. So games without Steph Curry. Let's talk about that. Scoring-wise, 2 out of 4. Assist-wise, excellent. Okay. One of those games was against the Rockets too. Had 6 assists. Only 9 potential assists though. No Steph Curry, but no Draymond will probably help him out here. This Rockets team, fewest assists allowed in the league. But the assists have to come from someone, right? There's no D'Anthony Melton either. He's gone. So Podziemski is going to be the key playmaker in this game. It just makes a whole lot of sense. Let's check his recent form out. So Steph Curry played in that game and that game. No Melton, though. In this game, Curry was out. So the minute Curry went out, potential assist numbers improved. Yeah, okay. Podziemski without Curry, the assists are there. What about boards? Does he do anything more with more minutes? Probably not. So Brandon Podziemski, the assist could be the look here. 5.8 assists as an average with Steph Curry out of the lineup. Does have a difficult matchup, but he has played the Houston Rockets under similar conditions before. Finished with 6 assists in that game. OKC, also a tough matchup. Managed to cover his assist prop as well. So Podziemski assists. Buddy Hield without Steph. Here's a bloody wagon. Check that out. 23.3 points per game without Steph Curry in the lineup. Matchup-wise against his Houston Rockets team, somewhat difficult, but did light them up for 27 last time. So we're going to keep that in mind. But who else was missing? Melton, Spencer. So it looks like Kuminga and Wiggins played in that game. So I need to look into Buddy a little bit further. But Buddy over his points. How's he played lately, though? He's pretty much trashed the whole time until Steph Curry's not there. How crazy. Yeah, it does October, November, late November. As soon as Steph Curry's not there, this guy just starts chucking them up. So, yeah, Buddy Hield, 3-pointers made could be a look. Probably just his points. Looks like there's probably not too many lines available. So probably waiting on the Wiggins news. But Buddy Hield over his points prop makes sense. Andrew Wiggins, 2 games without Steph Curry this season, has gone under this points prop. That's interesting. Last season without Steph Curry, under this points prop in 6 out of 7 games, which is just wild. Andrew Wiggins, what's his matchup look like for this game? He's got a tough matchup. Tough matchup to score some points for Andrew Wiggins. So that could be real interesting. Andrew Wiggins unders? Anyone brave enough to do that? Andrew Wiggins under 18.5 points. So he's gone under in 4 straight games. Steph Curry's going to be out, but he goes under with Steph Curry. That's pretty helpful. So 2 games there. And then last season, 6 out of 7. So looking at his last 9 games, he's gone under this points prop in 8 of them. Plus, he's got a difficult matchup here against the Houston Rockets. I think that all makes sense, right? So Andrew Wiggins to go under his points prop. It's as simple as that. I might bet that. I don't want to overthink things. Now I've got the cum bucket. These are his games without Steph Curry. 2 out of the 4, averaging 18.8. His line's at 18.5. Scored 23 points in that last game against the Rockets. Did shoot 58% from the field, 67% from 3. So I think that's an overperformance. I think the line about 18 is about right. I don't feel too comfortable taking his over. His matchup's not too bad, though. I think he scores some points today, but I don't know if he scores that many points. What are we looking at here? These are still his games. These are his games without Curry last season. 6 out of 8 games he went over. So what we're seeing here is Wiggins struggles without Curry. Kuminga goes off. Buddy Hield can go off this season, and Pods can get some assists. So Steph Curry, buddy, he moves some lines, I'll tell you that. All right, I got to check to see how long I've been recording because my throat be sore. Oh my Lord, an hour and 20 minutes. I apologize if I force you to watch all this. But given I've been recording this damn thing for so long, I've got a lot of leans I need to dive into, finalize, send out. I need to edit this thing. It's going to take me ages, editing an hour's worth of content. My Lord. All this because I worked until 10 p.m. thinking something was due tomorrow and it's not due till next week. How good am I? But look, looking to get redemption here, bounce back after a tough day. Hopefully this type of video was helpful for you. Let me know in the comment section if it was. If it wasn't, just let me know. Chances are I'm going to go back to sharing my bets anyway because this was exhausting as hell for me. But be sure to throw your support my way. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Be sure to sign up to Rebet. Send me an email if you do, and jump into that draw to win $100, baby, once we hit 100. But I'll be sure to catch you guys in the next one. Best of luck. Let's green out today, boys. Peace.